the fact that we're both on islands, so
we're islanders.
So yeah, that could be a handy one. Morning, Matt. How you doing?
Yeah, hey Jake. Thanks for having me on your podcast. I've seen of late you've had some very high caliber people on your show, so I'm in good company, right?
Oh, absolutely. You're one of them. Yeah, definitely. So Matt, we obviously spoke before the French Throwdown. We had a bit of back and forth on Instagram. I'll get into the product why and why I thought it was such an important piece of equipment for each gym to have. But your presence at the French Throwdown, how did that go for you? Was it a raging success? It looked very, very kind of impactful. Also, you had the athletes and some of the volunteers, and each evening having a go. So, do you want to talk me through how it went without going too much into detail about the product itself?
Yeah, so it was nice to meet you, and also like I think Mr. Greg Glassman showing up was an amazing thing. You know, I know we had a chat, quite a long chat about how we are from a very similar era in CrossFit. So we can talk about that probably further into the podcast. But yeah, look, it was an amazing opportunity for ErgShoot. Again, we'll go into this in a bit more detail, but you know, this has been something that I've been working on for the last couple of years. To have the opportunity to be at the largest CrossFit competition in Europe was just like amazing and such a privilege. Just to be exposed to, you know, the audience in real life, but you know, the audience, the digital audience that were honing in. And before the French Throwdown, you know, we've been to some competitions. Our plan this year is just to build the audience exposure, and it's such a fun thing that we're doing. So at the French Throwdown, we provided a service to them. So they had a gauntlet event for spectators, which was fun. They registered through one of the sponsors, Hustle Up, to sort of join up. We also had workshops, so like how to shoot, because you know, a lot of people haven't ever picked up a laser pistol before, and these laser pistols are from the Olympics. So we work with a company called Pentashot, who we're in partnership with. They supply their guns and targets, pistols and targets to laser run athletes from the modern pentathlon. Also supply pistols, rifles to biathletes as well. So that very famous Winter Olympic sport. But yeah, the French Throwdown, a great opportunity for us to engage. We put on some actual workouts where athletes could go toe to toe, so experience the game of the sport. The sports are very gamey. We call it gamification of fitness. It's a sport full of jeopardy, so no one's ever safe on the leaderboard, and I say that because you know, you need an engine, as you need a certain level of fitness to be competitive with ErgShoot, but the game is won through composure, and actually having the skills to settle the heart rate and be composed whilst you're taking your shots, your shot to win. So one of the reasons why I love the sport, it's unpredictable, and it's a coupling of fitness components, which let's just say cardio doesn't necessarily get on very well with precision. It interferes massively with that, and I just love the challenge. But yeah, the French Throwdown, really great. I think when you're building a sport, and I call it a sport, I know it's quite a bold thing to say, but it is a sport. We are very much attaching ourselves to established events. It can be an event, it can be a WOD. But ErgShoot, I know I'm digressing, by the way. I am going
No.
But yeah, ErgShoot takes inspiration from Olympic sports, biathlon, right? So when this all first came about, I was thinking, this could be like the off season for biathletes, so they can still be competitive and set world records. There are objective. There's metrics. It's measurable. So it was great. One of the biggest things for me at the French Throwdown, you have dreams, like you lay in bed some nights, or you have dreams when you're sleeping about like, where's this going, and what does this look like? And for me, it's this kind of dream of being on a big competition floor in an arena, all the ergs lined up, and all of the targets lined up, all the athletes lined up. And we actually had the opportunity to do that twice. On the Friday and Saturday night, we actually got onto big competition floor. We looked after the affiliates and the partners, and just had a good old workout. And it was one of these things. There you go, amazing. It was just one of these moments. Obviously we want the seats filled up a bit more down the road. But it was just a great thing. And, we set it all up, and, we were kind of moving around, sort of helping people kind of shoot. And to be honest with you, like with laser pistol shooting, our entry right now is 5 meters. Because the main thing for starting new things and new sports is making people realize that they can actually do it and they can actually compete.
Yes.
In the laser run for the modern pentathlon, the actual distance is 10 meters, right? And starting at 10 meters, you're not going to have much fun. You'll be like, throw the toys out the pram. I was very much like that when I was younger as an athlete myself. You get a bit wise when you grow up. Doesn't look good when you get older and you have kids and you throw your toys out the pram. You're not setting a good example. But we've done so much exposure for this activations events that I can confidently teach someone the movement standards of the shooting, and movement standards are key. And actually just teach someone how to shoot, get some green lights. As soon as you get 1 or 2, you understand the iron sight of the laser pistol. You're pretty much on. And our audience, or our audiences, because we're very lucky with this sport. Like when you look at our customer personas, or the athletes that would want to be interested in what we're doing, you have we work with Concept 2 in the US, right? So you've got your Concept 2 crew who are already doing the Concept 2 stuff. So you've got your level of fitness there, right? So that's one of the prerequisites of the sport. But then you've got your CrossFitters. That's me and you, Jakey. Hyroxers. I've been dabbling. It's a WOD. Hyroxers award. Your tactical games athletes, military athletes. But right down the end of the spectrum, and this will make more sense in a minute, but you also have your gamers, your Call of Duty crew. And I guess you can ask me more questions about what our mission is on this, but with our backgrounds, the co-founders, we are trying our best to get people healthy with this.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'll ask Michael's question first. How many meters do you find athletes have trouble with hitting the target?
Yeah, so we start everybody off at 5 at the moment. 5 is pretty doable when you're not under fatigue. When you are under fatigue, you might time out, but 5 meters, you'll still get a green light or 2, perhaps. It depends, obviously, on how hard you thrash the erg. But yeah, that's 5 meters. Thanks, Jake. Yeah, that's 5 meters. So when I started doing this, I started with 5 meters, but then after doing a lot of erg shooting, because I program for ErgShoot. So I experiment a lot with, you know, I think the best way to describe ErgShoot as a sport, if you went to like a Grand Prix athletics meeting, you'd have your sprinters, your middle distance athletes, and then your long distance athletes. And these athletes have different body types, right? You know who your sprinters are, you know who your middle distance crew are, and you also know who your endurance athletes are.
Yeah.
And that's why I love this sport, because, you know, anyone can do it, but we can still maintain the interference of the cardio output, whether it's your short or fast energy systems, or whether it's your aerobic energy systems. You're still going to get that interference. And the time you take to shoot will still have a massive impact on where you land. Even if you do like an endurance event, you know, I think the biathlon is 20 to 21 kilometers. I can't remember, 20, I think it's 21. We've got some endurance pieces that we're working on at the moment to mimic and pay homage to the sport of biathlon. Takes about an hour and a half to complete the enduro ErgShoot. And so you would think over that length of time, a few shoots might not impact your position so much, but it does. It does. In terms of how long do you have 50 seconds to achieve 5 green lights. We've kept it really simple. The target systems, you can change the variables, and we'll do that down the road. But I like keeping things simple. As a CrossFit coach, you know, the simple workouts are the best workouts to deliver. You know, having a chipper like a lumberjack 20, or you know, or
that's a great shout. It's
a good workout. I've done lumberjack 20. There was something like, as a CrossFit coach, I've written the program since conception. My box is CrossFit Isha. We've been going for 12 years, and I've always written the program, and there have always been some benchmark workouts that I've always kind of repeated. You know, and there are some that are just good fun. So yeah, so some of the hero workouts, not so much, but lumberjack 20 is quite a good fun one.
Do you know what? That's one of the. It never gets a look in lumberjack 20. I think people, because it's quite a lot of kit, isn't it? And like
it's a lot of kit. And you know what it is, though. Also, right? You know, when you write the program and you're writing your month, it's kind of like, that's a good workout. And in the moment, I do think about operations, but I don't want to starve my audience. I don't want to starve my membership of a workout that I think they'd actually really enjoy. Just because it's an operational hazard for me, or it's going to mean that I have to turn up to the gym half an hour early to set up. Because the worst thing in the world, we're getting to CrossFit coaching now, but you don't set up your class, and then it's like, right, guys, let's get the kit out. It's like, oh my God, there's so much kit. And it would take you, if you had a class of 16 people, and to be fair, I've done lumberjack 20 in pairs, or you start people in different movements, and change the cardio pieces up as well. I think it's running throughout, but in the winter months, I don't want like muddy feet coming in into the box, right? So you know, I would replace all the running with go on the bike erg, or go on the row erg, or go on the ski erg, and then it frees things up, you know. But anyway, you got to be quite creative on that. There I am in my gym.
Do you know what? It's I think it ends up getting respected by your members, but I think initially when people first come to CrossFit, or they don't fully appreciate the thought and the consideration that does go into programming for gyms. It's the advantage, I think, that online programmers, remote online programmers, they have a certain sense of freedom with that respect, where they're programming for 1 or 2 or however many people. They don't have that limitation necessarily in mind when programming. Whereas if you're programming for your gym, there's always a consideration, all right, I've got a capacity of 20 people. Can I realistically program lumberjack 20 for a full class of 20? Do I need to adapt it ever so slightly? Is it deepest darkest January when I'm not going to have everyone running outside? What do I need to change to? Have I got enough machinery to do that? Do I stagger start? You know,
so many
there's all these,
variables.
there's
And
all
the thing
these.
is, go on, sorry, mate. And so many variables, right? So programming, like this is a podcast all to itself, right? But
Yeah.
like I've had members, oh yeah, it just looks random, and it's like, well, it's varied, but not random. Like when I'm programming, there is so many variables that I have to take into consideration. Like the ergs, like what we've done the day before, what's coming up next, like we're getting a heavy stimulus is like, how many reps are we doing? It's a high rep day, it's a low rep day, it's like, then it's all your elements, your cardios and your gymnastics and your weightlifting and making sure, okay, we've done a lot of overhead, so I don't want to give people shoulder injuries, so let's not go overhead now. Did like 100 pull-ups in that workout, and so we're not going to do any overhead, right? So no hanging from a bar, even if it was even it was a snatch, you're still going overhead, and we can't do handstand push-ups. And it's like there's so many movements, so many considerations. I'm a physio. One of my hats is I'm a physio, right? So I don't want people to get injured. I don't want people to get injured. It's like the worst thing for me is having injured members because they'll cancel the membership as well. And the thing is, I want people to get the stimulus of the workout. I want it to be their funnest hour of their day. I want them to be, if they're like a 9 to 5, sort of worker, I want them to be looking at the clock going, right, got CrossFit. Let's get some let's get some nutrition on board, make sure I'm hydrated, because I don't want to be going to the session underfueled, because then I won't train that hard, and then my training adaptation won't be great. So all this kind of stuff, right? But programming for your audience, it's a hard job. It takes time, it takes effort, it takes passion. My passion hasn't waned over the years. I'm a bit more tired. I'm doing things like ErgShoot now. But I want people to get fit. I want people to get fitter and keep pushing, keep pushing the limits. Like I have to say, like, I'm 42 and I am, even though I've got little niggly bits that I don't have time to manage because I'm probably not sleeping enough, and my ice bathing for my swollen knees hasn't been so great because I've been away. But I don't train as long as I used to. I used to be like, when we started, right? It was like I do my weights, I do my lifting here in this part of the day, and then I'm going to do my Metcon over here. I train twice a day. I do it for 5 days, and then even on my rest days, I might do a 5K run. This kind of stuff. But I now, like, the quality of my trainings is better. My volume's less, but the quality is better. And like, I got my PB 2K row, and don't ask me why I did it.
Nice.
Because like doing a 2K row, you got to be a certain mindset to make yourself do that by yourself. And I did like a 648 2K row at 42. I've never done that in my life. So it tells you the age is just a number as well. But I definitely don't feel like I'm in my 30s physically. But anyway,
the thing with all of that is, I think I keep using this phrase and people get really annoyed with me, like my mates. I use smoke and mirrors. So a lot of people in our industry, the broader fitness industry, but from my area of expertise in the CrossFit world, I think people create smoke and mirror screens to hide the fact that progression or basic principles aren't being met. So they'll want the data about WOD 2 on day 3 of the games, because then they can compare and contrast their Excel spreadsheet about what they did in January 2022. And it's like, just turn up at the gym. All the thinking has been done for you. All the programming, all the class types, all of everything. The scaling will be taken care of by your coach. Just trust. Just show up. Do the work when you're there, enjoy the experience, and go home. That's why, like, just show up. This t-shirt.
Show up.
That's simply all you do. And I think the older you get, most people appreciate that is just it. If you trust the gym, you trust the programming, you trust the coaches, you trust people around you, all you need to do is just be present. Take all the other thinking out of it. Just move with intent, understand the stimulus of what you're trying to achieve, and get after it. That's all you need to do. You don't need to go and stand at the whiteboard looking at what everyone else got at 6:30 this morning. Just do the job, move with intent, get it done, and then reflect on it afterwards. And I think you gauge that and you learn that after a few years of being in CrossFit. You realize, and on what you've just said, the older you get when you've been in this, we've been in it about the same distance. A lot of the people that have been at the point now where they're starting to realize that and passing on that information to the younger people that don't have it in their heads that they want to go to the games, that just want to show up and just enjoy the gym for the hour that you're there, and then go and use your fitness and your endorphins outside of the gym. Go, be free. This shouldn't be everything that you do. And the beautiful thing, and I'm going to bring it back now to you guys and ErgShoot, is what ErgShoot. I see this as twofold, and correct me here. You can go off about ErgShoot after this. Two things. One, for cultures that don't have arms in their constitution, they don't have free access, they can't open carry, but are interested and haven't used pistols before. This is an insanely good way of having it in a very safe environment, can be using it to their advantage in fitness, testing that thing that we call accuracy, which is one of the 9 principles of fitness that CrossFit preach. All we've got at the moment is wall balls. Fuck that. Let's get some different kit in. And then for cultures like the US that I'm referring to here, there's obviously a very, very different gun policy, and other countries around the world. But the guys that are using pistols in their own time and carry, with ErgShoot, they are given the opportunity to, aside from the tactical games, which is live ammo and going away, which I spoke to Lauren Khalil about this a couple of weeks ago with my mate Yom, and it's very high entry. The barrier of entry is quite high. It's quite a costly experience, and it's live ammo, and you have to travel. Now, in comes ErgShoot, and everyone that shoots pistols is given the opportunity to be indoors, testing their accuracy, all that work they've done with guns in a gym setting whilst fatigued, which is the essence of tactical, but in the gym, and anyone can give it a go. So back to you. Firstly, was that fairly accurate in my assumptions? But also, let's hear about ErgShoot, what it is, where it came from, the idea behind it, and where we're at now.
Yeah, so I think by default, we ended up as what you've just said, right? In terms of people getting access to laser pistols, people getting access to testing their ability with accuracy and precision under cardiovascular stress. And yeah, I've had conversations with people that are in the military who don't get it's called range time. So you have to do so many hours in the week. I don't know what the hours are, but they basically said, I never get a chance to go to the range. It's like CPD, continued professional development. You've got to keep on your skills. But some of these military bods aren't actually getting a chance to go to the range because they're too busy doing administrative jobs. But then also the cost of ammo as well, right? This wasn't why we got into ErgShoot. This is just conversations that I've had where it also ticks boxes for military people and also law enforcement who need to keep on top of their shooting. They can do it at home and it's safe. No ammo's involved. So that's one aspect of this, which isn't our main focus, but yes. How ErgShoot came about, right? So this is the story. So I'm like you. We've had a chat about, CrossFit purists, the 10 components of fitness, and you got your cardiovascular fitness, and you got your accuracy and your precision, right? That's it.
It's my little list.
You wrote them down, mate. You wrote them down. And it's funny how life works. How things come about, how life kind of goes full circle. So then I'm like thinking to myself, right, we've got an in-house throwdown coming up. We hold them every sort of 3 months or so, every quarter of the year. And it's like, okay, what can we do to make it a bit more fun? I'm very lucky to have the gym where I have my gym. We've got archery next door. And I thought, you know what? Let's chuck in some archery, right? I think that would be quite good fun, right? And also, next to my gym, we've got a river. So we actually chucked in also, I forgot to tell you this, when I told you about this story in France, we got kayak canoes. It was a great workout, right? So we had, like, literally, I'm on this, my gym is in this police training facility. It's called Invercourt Sports Club. If any of your listeners want to look it up, Invercourt Sports Club, you can look at it on sort of Google Maps. You'll see it. And anyway, so the workout was, you run to the entry to the kayak, you do your kayak, and then you come out of the kayak, you do your archery, you come back into the gym, do a bit of lifting, and then I think there was an AMRAP at the end or something. But it was a very comprehensive workout. But short of it was, people have fun. Me as being the kind of like militant coach, being really OCD about how things are going. I want control. The timings need to work. Timings weren't working. It was stressing me out. Everyone was having fun, but internally I was going, this isn't working for me. This needs to be better, right? So this is my personality, by the way. The more you get to know me, Jake, you'll know that it's me, right? I think all CrossFit coaches, or people that do our jobs, we have this in us. It's like, it needs to be perfect. And, and I still reflect on all of my CrossFit sessions, by the way. Like every single time I coach, I reflect. It's like, was that a good session? Was that like a session? Did ran out, did a bit too much over here and ran out of time over here. Anyway. So archery worked, but it wasn't perfect. And then I thought, okay, how can we make this better, right? So short of it was, I had a physio patient who was a GB shooter. And, I was massaging them and telling them about the event. And so, you can get laser pistols. I said, no, didn't know that. So anyway, realized you could. And then contacted, the company, Pentashot, and went from there, right? So I talk about life going full circle because I was a very, very competitive athlete when I was younger, right? I was the kid at school that I won 7 gold medals at sports day, right? I was that kid. I was good at sprinting. I was also very good I won cross country as well. Work that out. I won the 100-meter dash. You're probably thinking everyone at your school was not good at just by default, you won it. But I was just like a very competitive athlete.
Yeah.
Always from a very, very early age. In an era though, like this was like early 90s, and I was at school, and it was either you do your fitness at school and then you go home. I come from the Isle of Wight. You're a fellow Islander as well. And I would say back then everything was very sort of isolated and insular, right? We had the Isle of Wight championships for athletics. So I would do that, and then you go from that championships to, I think it was like the Wessex championships, and if you won that, you would then go to the national preparatory schools, and I did that a few times. But I struggled so much with nerves and anxiety as a kid. So like athletics for me, I was good at it, but Jesus, I really struggled with anxiety. Like, I remember walking up to the start line and having like, why are my legs feeling so heavy? And not until probably later on into my physio career, when I would talk to patients about anxiety and panic attacks, and they said, oh yeah, like I was laying on the couch the other day and my legs went to sleep. And so I have patients with anxiety. I thought, do you know what? I had that when I was competing at athletics, like back in the day, and I didn't even know I was. And my poor mum, because my mum used to like travel with me to all my athletics competitions, and like I actually apologized to my mum like not so long ago, because I was just a little shit. Like she would like, well, I'm one of 4 boys, right? So like my mum is, she made time to take me, her second eldest, and take me to these competitions and support me. But I was like a grumpy little shit, and I eat some food and all this kind of stuff, but I was just really anxious and stressed.
Right.
And the reason why I mentioned all of this was because I used to watch Eurosport on TV. when I was younger. I used to watch biathlon. I had this fascination of endurance, and I marveled at like people's capacity to perform under pressure. Athletics. I love watching athletics now. I love athletics. Grand Prix athletics on TV. Love it. I just respect that level of it's the dedication, the training. So yeah, so the life full circle thing is, I ended up thinking, oh my god, like Eurosports, biathlon, my background, fitness, like endurance, fascination, nerves. And then you have composure with ErgShoot. I still erg. We got ergometers, and that's the other thing, by the way. Like when we talk about erg, there's an assumption or expectation that everyone knows what an erg is, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, it's ErgShoot. Yeah, you understand. What's an erg? So like ergometers, right? So apparatuses that test energy expenditure over a bout of physical activity. Okay, so that's like your ergometer. So then if you go to a gym, you got your row erg, your ski erg, your bike erg, right? And then that was a kind of match made in heaven between us and Concept 2. Taking a like significant interest in what we're doing. It blends well, right? And we're using their kit. So it all sprouted from my throwdown, laser pistol shooting, my background of fitness, and then also, as I say, just like my fascination with being composed when you're under stress. And it's not just physical stress, it's psychological stress, emotional stress. And I think that comes with, look, I say it comes with getting older, but then I also see young kids performing like laser run.
Yeah.
Like the global sales lead of Pentashot, his daughter, she's absolutely amazing. I'm not saying that like every single time she shoots, she's always perfect, but these elite athletes, they're like getting 5 green lights in around 10 seconds, right? It's amazing.
I think that the thing that age allows for is for experience for those that lack the capacity to do it earlier on.
Yeah.
So another example of that might be someone that is an insanely naturally gifted for anatomically everything that they can go with it. Swimmer. Let's go with swimming.
Yeah.
You might get like my son. He gets it for his mum. Definitely not me. Is a very good swimmer at the age of 6. Like he can do 50-meter freestyle like already.
Wow. That's amazing.
But he hasn't had too much necessary. He hasn't got the age to go with that. Someone at 50 might build up to that over that period of time because they've had the time has allowed for that experience to build up. And this is where the whole naturally gifted quandary comes into it. Some people are, for whatever reason, genetically gifted or tailored towards certain, certain expedition or exercises. Yourself, would you call yourself sort of a jack of all trades across the field?
With my personal fitness?
Yourself.
Yes and no, right? And I say yes and no because I can do most things within fitness. Okay. I can do strict bar muscle ups, right? And strict ring muscle ups, and never been great at overhead squat. Ex-rugby player, bodybuilded in my 20s, stiffened myself up, overhead, stacking overhead, not my thing. So I am that classic athlete. He's got a great back squat and front squat and basically does an overhead squat with an empty bar. I'm that guy, which has always irritated me.
But I mean, that could be developed. That,
I know it can be developed, but then I need to do more overhead squats in my week.
Yeah.
Do I do that? I spend more time on the
You sound like a naturally, and I'm going to quote athleticism. The primal movements across broad, blah, 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 that John Welborn talks about. Let's call it athleticism. Some people are naturally more athletic than others, i.e. their proprioception skills are heightened. They are able to mimic and copy movement sooner than others without high reps of repetition. I think you fit that category with the broad range of abilities that you had as a child without that age, and you've continued down the line of being able to do that. It's funny because I think reflecting back on your being on the Isle of Wight, which by the way for everyone is different for the Isle of Man. I know Clue's in the title, but like Matt and I were saying, they always get mixed up.
Geographically different.
Very different, yeah. But the thing is with that kind of captured audience of competition, it also allows for, because of the small geography, more exposure to different sports as a kid, more access to sport in a less built up area. And where we've seen that, where I am on the Isle of Man, is the likes of Amy Kringle. So she and there's a young lady called Belinda Dennett who's only just turned 17, I think, who is like a phenom. She's just like it's outrageous what she can do at her age. When you see it with the teams now in CrossFit world, but what I think Island Life does, especially over here, and from what you've said, is access to different types of stimulus, different types of sports and exercise from a young age. Developing that is so important, and that's where this list of this comes from. As a parent, I am trying to expose the kids to as much of that and testing it and finding it fun and enjoyable as they can. By the time they're teenagers, they'll be perfectly equipped for whatever they want to do physically. And I think
that's the dream.
And I think what ErgShoot allows adults to do is to, within our CrossFit world and outside it, but let's talk CrossFit gyms for now. It exposes them to gaps in their training that potentially CrossFit has. We find it hard as programmers to test accuracy quite a lot. Obviously, you could talk, weightlifting kind of ticks accuracy a lot of the time and blah, blah, blah. But, you could probably argue that darts probably tests accuracy more than CrossFit does. And, and darts players aren't exactly peak health. So bringing something in like ErgShoot can have a massive impact on the developmental skills and therefore trickle outside of accuracy into the rest of fitness. Staying calm, getting your heart rate down, having to consider the fact that your heart rate is going to be elevated in a minute and you are going to completely mess up, your time in here. Yeah. And you said something earlier about the time it doesn't seem like it will have a massive impact. But if you look at the top end, over a triathlon, have a look at the sprint finishes at the Tour de France. Have a look after 4 or 5 hours of racing. They are sprinting to get in ahead of the next 10 people. There's seconds in it. Now, if you take 5 seconds longer per shot than someone else, that's 25 seconds longer. That's a game changer. That's podium or 10th.
That's a game changer, and that's the reason why I like. I said it at the start of this conversation. This jeopardy, right? This kind of like it's an even playing field. You can go into ErgShoot, and you could be, like a 6 minutes 30 rower for a 2K. You could probably pull similar sort of times on your ski and all this kind of stuff, right? And so, well, that's great, and it helps. But if you're timing out every shoot, and you're starting almost 35 seconds, allow for the transition. If you're starting 35 seconds after this athlete who's not as good as you on the ergs, you're going to probably lose. Most likely, you're going to lose by quite a lot, maybe cumulatively, depending on what the workout is, by minutes. The thing I like about the sport, and this is why, coming from CrossFit, right? It's like working weaknesses. It's leaving the ego at the door. It's not throwing toys out the pram. Early on as a kid, I had a terrible short fuse as a kid. I see it in my eldest boy, Jackson, as well, right? And it's teaching composure at an early age. It's quite hard to do that, right? The kids with their attention spans and this kind of stuff. But it's just kind of like dropping into their world some little pearls of it makes them think about it, right? What's dad telling me here? I've got to stay calm. I'm not calm, but he's talking about it. So then you're receiving that information for me. You have to then receive it, interpret it, digest it. And then after a while, you'll start understanding, okay, so I was actually calmer today. And so I feel that, yes, there's many layers to what we're doing, many layers. But because CrossFit is about working weaknesses, embracing that, not avoiding overhead squats, this kind of stuff, this has a massive appeal. It's testing cognitive function, right? So like, I even practice like laser pistol shooting, like when I'm doing some strength training, because I don't want to switch off. I want to stay alert. I want to stay sharp. So then also you then start bridging that gap into the older population that you serve in your community, right? My in-laws come down. They train 3-4 times a week at the gym very consistently. Mart's is in his 70s and Gigi's catching them up into the fitness. But their kind of needs, within their fitness, they might need a bit more, cognitive, testing. So as I say, it appeals to, different audiences. Yeah. And I guess in a way, like me talking to you through this now is kind of, it does. It kind of like helps development with children. It just reinforces development in your kind of like, this middle chunk of your life. And then it also just maintains development, in that latter part of your life as well. So, and anecdotally, when people do ErgShoot at my gym, it's like, oh, this is fun. Or, oh, this makes cardio fun.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, because let's be honest, some people aren't like me. They don't like their cardio days,
Yeah. A couple of things there. So on that note, a few years ago, when everyone was in each other's good books, Annie Thor's daughter was on Savon's show, and they were talking about at Reykjavik, they did a couple of days where they introduced basic logic puzzles in the middle of workouts. So it was like, I don't know, 400-meter run.
That must have been done by Yami, right?
Yeah, exactly. So it would have been like 400-meter run, 30 wall balls, quick maths equation, and then out for round 2. Yeah. And the difference it makes in your performance, and then the resulting frustration with basic principle logic under fatigue. And the thing is, you think about the origins of CrossFit, you look at why the military enjoy that type of work as well. If you're out in war and battle, you're not only under fatigue with something on your back, with the fatigue of running, you're having to be very accurate with your shooting as well. But you're having to think and logically plan and prep and move and adjust.
It's very different.
It's a totally different type of fatigue.
And also, it's a different type of training. How distracted as an athlete do you get when you train, right? Like you're in a workout, maybe your head's not in the game, and you're just going through the flow of it. You're present, but you might just be a bit distracted. And I think being a mindful athlete, constantly assessing the system, like your system, your machine, right? I've been trying to get back into running of late. I've had a few lower limb surgeries, so let's say for the last couple of years, I've just been erging it a little bit. But then someone's high rocks, this kind of stuff, and it's like, okay, look, I might just try a bit of running, but I've got to be really mindful about how I run. I've got to be really mindful about my foot placement. Like every step that I take is like, that was a bit too firm a landing, making too much noise when I run. I want to be nice and sort of soft, like let's attenuate the force through my limbs. And I am like that as an athlete, right? I literally am constant. I've got this kind of like inner monologue, you call it?
Yeah.
And I'm just talking to myself the whole time. And I think as an athlete, you have to be that way. Mm-hmm. To be like intuitive, you've got to be, you got to be present. And ErgShoot is just that, right? It is, you can't switch off this strategy, this tactics. There's like, You know, I remember, I forget the name of this guy, right? I think we could talk for days, by the way, Jake.
Yeah,
But
I know.
there was this Czechoslovakian Olympic athlete. I forget his name. It's going to irritate me now. It'll come to me. But anyway, he won gold at Olympics. I think he was like in the era of 40s, 50s, and 60s, in that era.
Right. Okay.
And I remember reading up on this guy, and he would be basically doing dry land hypoxic training, and he didn't know he was doing it, right? So like he would walk to school in the mornings, and he would like go from one lamppost to the next lamppost and hold his breath, because it was just a fun thing to do, right?
Yeah.
Stay with me, right? So
I love that.
But he would just do it. He did, so it was in his book, and it's really annoying me. I can't remember his name now.
He sounds like he's got ADHD, by the way.
He sounds like he's got a problem, right?
Yeah.
But he started from this lamppost, had another landmark, and tick. I managed to hold my breath for that distance whilst I was walking or jogging, right? Then he went from this lamppost to the next landmark. But he would just challenge himself. He had this kind of like inner motivation just to challenge himself. Why he did it, who knows, right? But he must have had some deep-rooted reasons why. Tell this guy I could be his running coach. Okay, cool. Thanks for that, Sean. But anyway, right? So what happened was this guy was like literally biohacking himself, right? He was like improving his red blood cell content. You know, he was basically maximizing his capacity as an athlete, right? He was doping. So
yeah.
Fast forward to the Olympics, right? And this is, I mentioned this because this is what you could do in ErgShoot. He would start a run, you know, and he's like, but he would play with the athletes. He would pretend he was knackered. He would just go, you know, like he'll be pretending, right? Because he wants all these other athletes to kick.
Yeah.
And really interesting guy, because this is what ErgShoot's all about, right? There's so many facets to it. You know, like you know, do you pretend like next to do you pretend next to your athletes that you're actually knackered but you're not, that you're going to play games with them? He was Czechoslovakian. He was a Czechoslovakian athlete. But I've always remembered it because I just thought I feel like I have in me a little bit of that type of mentality, and I just appreciated the fact that he just did it like instinctively. It was like a natural thing that he thought, you know, I'm just going to do this. But little did he know that he just completely and utterly just like advanced his DNA. Like, imagine what his kids would be like.
Yeah, Matt. So my wife, I don't know if I said, she swam. She did synchronized swimming as a sport. She went to London Olympics and then coached in Rio. So she is absolutely dog shit at running. Like I've never known anything like it. But she can do 100 meters. So in a 50-meter pool, she can do 2 lengths underwater, just holding her breath. It's insane. Like she's got an insane capacity.
That's insane.
But she cannot run to save her life, and it's because of the breathing pattern.
Yeah.
She cannot breathe during running. And I've tried to tell her, years of football and rugby, years of having a decent cardio base, I know how to breathe when I'm running better than her. But she's absolute dog shit. But when we were training, she was coach for Rio. And we had the two. It was a duet, so two girls that were competing in Rio. I had them in the gym doing a bit of S&C work with them. I had them do a Tabata on the assault bikes, but they held their breath.
Why would you do that?
Well,
20, do you hate them that much?
20 on 10 off for 4 minutes, because their routines are about 4 minutes long. And they're underwater for the majority of the time. So they're holding their breath. Nice. So I got them to do 20 on 10 off 8 rounds, holding their breath during the 20 and then breathing during the 10. They survived it. 2, they were tired by the end of it, but it was very, very, very similar stimulus to what their routines are going to be. I got my members to do it in the gym. 2 rounds. 2 rounds they lasted. It was a minute. They were fucked.
Yeah, well, this is not trained for, are they? Yeah.
No, exactly. And these girls are so fucking fit, like anaerobically, aerobically. They're just conditioned for that hypoxic work. It always interests me that people don't even consider that kind of work.
Yeah,
And
I think it's breathing's massive, right? It has been for the last few years. Now, when is Matt going to tell us the ErgShoot is going to be at the games this year?
that's
or
the
the
dream.
games?
Gotta be the dream.
We have plans. We have plans. Patrick McEwen, I think was it the Oxygen Advantage? I read that quite a while ago. That was quite a compelling book to read, actually. And they had some protocols in that book actually on, how to do like this kind of dry land hypoxic training, trying to improve your carbon dioxide tolerance within your system, that kind of stuff as well. So, yeah, like it's a very easy thing for an athlete to do, right? So, like, you just sit on an air bike I used to do this, sit on an air bike for say 20 minutes, work at say 70%, purely nasal breathe. And then I used to do like every 2 minutes. On that minute, I would breath hold for as long as I could. And then I would have this kind of like medium to strong feeling of wanting to exhale. And then I would never open my mouth. And I'll be honest with you, like nasal breathing for 20 minutes on an air bike feels like 90% because it feels like you're breathing through straws. But also an amazing way to decongest oneself if they suffer with chronic rhinitis. Yeah.
Without one of those, have you seen those bottle things that people like? I see mums online squeezing these like sinus clearing.
I've seen those. I've seen weird videos where they've also got stuck as well. So.
Oh yeah, but they look fucking awful. But then the kids are just like, and then the amount of shit that comes out is mental.
It's mental. It's mental.
Well, I think, right. So I was in Liverpool over the weekend with weightlifting. I'm gonna after we've kind of finished, I'm gonna bring up some videos. But there's the lad that I've got and his mum are both diagnosed for years with ADHD, right? And he is one of these kids. He's an athlete. He's only 16, but he's just born to do it all. He cannot walk down a hotel. We're booking into the hotel, checked in, down a hallway without handstand walking 5 meters. He has to handstand walk in every hotel he goes to. And then he sets himself challenge, and they're both as bad as each other. So they're going, right, Jake, hold the bags. We're going to have a handstand walking competition. It's just everything is competition. Everything is like a task. That inner monologue is, I bet you can't do that. All right, I will. And then the two of them together are brilliant. It's just entertainment. And I just stood back and videoed a load of it because they're just like the Chuckle Brothers.
It's not just a bad thing to do, though, right?
No.
In terms of competition, it's physical activity, right? So
this is the thing. I think, and my boy is probably somewhere on that region. But for them, jiu-jitsu plays a massive part. 3 times a week, they're 6 and 7. The calming effect, the composure, the thought process. It's chess, but you've got someone trying to attack you. Martial arts offer that. Boxing, is classic. Taking unruly boys that have, the anger issues. They're having to learn. You can't lose your fucking rag without getting smacked around. You've got to compose and think and
discipline.
Yeah, exactly. It's the discipline piece. And we have to either we have that inbuilt or we have to learn it or we just fail at life. Really.
And graciousness.
Yes, absolutely. So I've got a question. I concentrate on nostrils and exhales to the movement when I run it. Zone 2, yeah. You like competitive mindset? No, I've never said I haven't, Sean. So this is where Sean doesn't quite. Sean's a friend of mine from the US. I love competitive mindset now. I love it. I've always loved it. I haven't not loved it. But for me, when I go in the gym, not everything is competition. I train. I don't compete. That's the difference. When I go in the gym, I'm not that bothered about how everyone around me is doing it until it is a competition. That's the difference between the people that you see failing in CrossFit and have done for the last 13, 14 years, that are people that have flaked off. Everything was competition. Every workout was a competition, and they would compete in every workout. There was never a session where they just went in, hit the percentages, hit the stimulus, and were happy with it. It was always whiteboard watching. It was always who did what. And that's not a bad thing for some people if you're an athlete at the top end. But as I found out in these years, is the people right at the tip of the spear. They don't have that either. They know that training 6 out of the 7 days a week is vital. You're not competing and pushing to the limits at high intensity every day. You're testing once a week, tops, maybe two when you're coming up.
What's that saying as well? Comparison is the thief of joy.
And that's so true. And you see the people over the years that either get injured or they go CrossFit shit, because you get the 25-year-old lad that can't compete with a 50-year-old woman at snatching. And then they go, this is shit. I'm off to do bodybuilding again. Over years.
What an amazing thing. That's what I love, right, about CrossFit.
Yeah.
Is 100%. That you can get people in their 40s who've been doing it for years. They are completely, you can't get hold of them in a workout. These 20-year-olds, they can't get hold of them. And it's like, you either go, this is shit, or you either go, right, this is nonsense. This is nonsense. Like, how are you? Yeah, you're like 2 decades older than me. How the hell are you beating me in this workout? And it goes one of two ways, right? The mindset of this 20-year-old, right? You either go, yeah, throw the toys out the pram, or I accept the challenge.
Yes.
I accept the challenge, and I'm going to dedicate years to get to where you guys are at. I've had some guys start CrossFit at 42. And then when they got to 50, peak fitness. Yeah. And top of the leaderboard, like when you are looking at the leaderboard, like, you know, top of the leaderboard in the gym, 50. Yeah. Beating 20, 30-year-olds. It's nonsense, right? Well, I say, I don't think it's nonsense. As I say, age is just a number. Yes, hormonal profile changes over the years. We get little niggles, all that kind of stuff. I think CrossFit's up here there as well.
Oh, it is. The reward is up there. The reward isn't necessarily the physical adaptations. You know, it's the mental fortitude you get from it, the composure, the discipline, the hard work. You know, like I said, I've never, in all the years of being at a CrossFit gym, I've never known a theft ever. Nothing ever gone missing. And the reason for that is
I've left money on the side of my reception before, and it was there the next day.
Hi, Sean. Yeah, exactly. And this is the thing. It's because people that go to CrossFit gyms work hard for what they get, and they don't nick things. They don't steal because they know the value of hard work. And it is indicative of the type of people that go to the CrossFit gym. But yeah, it's so bring this back down to ErgShoot then. I think that all the benefits of what we've talked about from CrossFit and the reward that we get from CrossFit, all the physical adaptations and all the challenges that we lack in CrossFit. So there was a period of time a few years ago when we were all talking about lateral movement, not really getting tested in CrossFit. It was all linear. Everything that we did with the barbell was linear. Everything we were testing was back and forward. We never did any, and we got people with the knee issues where they weren't stable. We introduced, sidestepping, lateral lunges. Any decent CrossFit coach or programmer worth their salt does include a lot of lateral work for stabilization and for joint health. It's important. We got past that because it became talked about and it got spoken about. Now, the thing that I'm really keen on, especially in my gym where I coach and the people that I program online, is accuracy. When are you testing your accuracy? It's just as important as all the other 9. So when I have ErgShoot pop up and I looked into it, I was like, yes, here we go. Here's a very, very affordable bit of kit, in my opinion, that every gym should have access to, and all the members should be able to use this at least once a month in their training protocol to be able to test the accuracy under fatigue, burdened by other, machinery or other stimulus in the. It
can be creative.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that's a good point. That's a really good point. For the programmers, it opens up this whole new world of programming. It's a new door's been unlocked for programmers. It's beautiful. So in terms of ErgShoot, I'm going to put up your website, Matt. Let's say I'm a gym owner. What are the key takeaways from ErgShoot? Why would I know why. This is Janine, who owns CrossFit Janine in Janine's world. why should I buy the ErgShoot?
So look, ErgShoot is steeped within CrossFit, right? And that's where it comes from. We are sticking to principles of that. I think it gives you another offering within your gym or CrossFit box. We are currently working on the CrossFit, the ErgShoot affiliate pack. Look, I'm a box owner, right? And Flo, one of the co-founders of ErgShoot, she owns 2 gyms as well. So when we got into this, we were really kind of like working like, how can we make this affordable? How can we get this into gyms, create the community that we want to create, and make it not scary in terms of like, oh my God, it's costing thousands of pounds, right? Obviously, you know, targets and laser pistols, there's hardware, right? So we are working on an affiliate offering, and it's coming out soon, where you know, we can make it very affordable, like similar sort of affordability to some of your other affiliate add-ons that you have right now. You've got your Hyrox add-ons, you got your Turf Games have started doing an affiliate package as well. You know, we are in this very exciting era of sport and fitness where it's highly social. You know, people are wanting fitness challenges, fitness races. The thing with ErgShoot, as I say, is exciting for me because over the years, as I've been building this up for the last couple of years, the offering just develops and the mission and the vision develops as we go, right? So yes, we want to build community. We also want to bring in technology and innovation into what we're doing. So we have plans to create an app for our affiliates, where you can have an app, go on your phone, takes a Bluetooth takes Bluetooth feeds from both PM5 and Target. Basically, I call it online gaming, right? You can essentially I could online game with you, Isle of Wight to the Isle of Man. Amazing. We use our phones as our host. We can either select a workout. We can select a workout which is already standardized, or we could actually, you know, we could design our own workout, right? But that's where the scalability of this occurs, right? We live in a world of digital. So I also love this because I love objective measurement. I like knowing what I've done. PM5, Target, timings of everything, right? Yep. From an events perspective, because our business be part of an organized event, right? If it's all technology bundled up, volunteers, marshals, minimal. Yep. You know, you're not having to sort of like test someone's squat depth. You wouldn't get Andrew Hiller, would you? Like, oh no rep. You wouldn't be getting none of that. Yeah. But also events to one side, right? This is also a sport, right? So we would also have leagues, divisions around the world, world records for your short distances, your middle distances, your long distances, right? So it's a sport, but it can be in an event, it can be a WOD, yeah. And the one thing I really love about ErgShoot, this is the dream. This is like the dreams when you're sleeping at night. It's an amazing spectator sport. Yes. Okay, so you can imagine big screen, the audience sat in their seats, and this cat and mouse affair. You know, as I said, I've said third time, this jeopardy, right? This kind of like you're never safe. And you see your meters, whether you ski, bike, or row, you see your meters moving along the screen, and then you're on your last round, and then it's like everyone's shooting, and then like this guy's got 2 green lights, this guy's got 4 green lights, keeps missing the last one. And honestly, it's like, it's very theatrical. So we want to build a community. We want to scale it up. We want to bring technology into this whole thing. And the whole thing with this, so this is that's a nice picture. That's myself, that's Flo, and that's Ali. This is actually an outdoor space at my gym. And Flo's background is PlayStation, by the way, right? So when you're looking at the co-founders, my background, fitness industry for over 2 decades, physio. So yeah, I'm basically like science guy, and I'm also like, I'm also one of these people that's like, what's next? What's next? I'm a what's next guy. That's why I like CrossFit so much, because there's never not a what's next moment in CrossFit.
No.
It's like, oh, I've just done my first strict ring muscle up. Okay, well, can you do 10 unbroken? It's like, it's what's next. So with ErgShoot, the what's next are limitless. Flo's background's PlayStation. So
I love that.
She's been like 25 years designing shoot 'em up games designed to keep people sat down. Then over the course of time, she's then got into fitness. She's got into 2 gyms. That's Flo doing the handstands and stuff. So she loves handstands, by the way, Flo. Handstand walking.
I can tell, yeah.
Yeah, she loves that.
Well, you can.
Yeah, she's very fit. There she is. So now where Flo's at, she still loves shoot 'em ups, but she wants to get people moving.
Yeah.
So when I told Flo about the laser pistols that I had at my gym just about a year and a half ago, I had the idea for a good 6 months or so beyond that. Or pre that, sorry. She, oh my God, I love it. And that was pretty much it. Ali with the big beard, he's been a member of my gym for almost since conception. I can't get rid of the guy. But his background, he's got experience with startups. He works on like software and like IT, that kind of stuff. I sometimes find it hard to, when you know someone's just like, but you don't know exactly what they do. Ali's a very clever chap, but like he's very well sort of schooled in that area, and is highly valuable for us. Flo's PlayStation background, and then obviously my background of just being a physio and a coach and a programmer and all this kind of stuff as well. So we actually have as a 3 a wealth of a breadth and wealth of knowledge between the 3 of us, and we're all in our 40s. We've all got a lot of life experience and work experience and that kind of stuff. And we also know, Rome wasn't built in a day. So I think the main thing when you get older is you get a bit more patient with how long it takes to develop these types of ideas, right? As I say, like, I've been working on this for 2 years. It takes a long time to get it to where we wanted to get to. So yeah, for us, we feel that we have something which is capturing some really good attention. And again, it's just this very simple couplet of 2 components of fitness that basically people aren't doing and testing, right? And I think when you look at what I came up with, it's like, oh God, why didn't I think of that? Like it seems such a simple thing to kind of put together.
Yeah.
But I think sometimes in life, it's like, oh, that's such a, it's such a simple thing to think about, because you got the sport of biathlon, and we got all the ergs in the gyms.
Yep.
So yeah, as I say, it all kind of feeds into itself.
Yeah.
Our big vision, which Concept 2 in the US that we kind of dial into probably once a week. We want to be, we're basically, our North Star is the Olympics. So 10 years from now, we like to try and get ErgShoot into the Olympics. You already have you already have biathlon, you already have laser run, or the modern pentathlon. You've got your pistol and your rifle shooting events. So it's not super far-fetched, but we basically want to create something which has like legacy, really. I said that to Flo on the plane coming back from the French Throwdown. Actually, I said, what a beautiful thing it would be when we're not on this planet anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So to know that you've created something that lasts, that's your legacy, you know.
Yeah.
And you know, I built my gym, you know, so I'm not a business person, right? So just by pure passion and drive,
Yeah.
I created a CrossFit gym,
Mm.
and my passion and drive took it to a certain level, and then I need to get some people to help me with the business, right?
Mm.
Same thing with this. If Ali and Flo weren't on board with me with this thing, it wouldn't be where it is right now. We've got a very exciting year coming up off the back of the French Throwdown. And also, I've mentioned, by the way, we also have ErgShoot now in the US. We actually have a guy called Carl Rolfe, who is our man in the US. I think a lot of people who listen to this will probably know Kyle. Kyle is the husband and coach of Emily Rolfe, who's quite a useful CrossFitter. And
Not bad.
Kyle is all in with this. He loves the idea. I've spoken to him so much about this whole thing. He's kind of tied into this kind of world in the US. And yeah, he's been helping us get into some big events this year. And that's Kyle, that's Emily. And it's really exciting for us because we need feet in the US. And in September, we are very likely being involved at a big event in September, which will be looking actually after tier 1 athletes and actually being prime time. So that's 99% going to happen. I can't mention the event, but if you go into your calendars, you can probably work out which one it is. That's going to be big for us. Massive exposure. So we're like, it's one of these pinch me moments. But as I say, you know, it's just lots of hard work. Hard work pays off, right? Lots of hard work. And yeah, and Jake, you know, people like you giving me some time to talk about it. You know, I talk the ears off most people about it who are in my world in real life. But this is the first time I've actually done a podcast and actually been given a platform to talk about it. So I do appreciate that.
Oh no, my pleasure. It's like I said, we were in person in the French. What an exciting time! You know, there's all these offshoots from CrossFit. We talked about events and, you know, even like things like High Rocks and Athletics Games and in the UK. You've got all these. The ability of CrossFitters needs to be tested laterally, you know, outside of your typical 3 workouts over a day. One's a heavy lift, one's a long Metcon, and one's a CrossFit 12-minute AMRAP all for time. We need to start introducing these different concepts. What a time to, you know, to be able to like invest time and money into this new way of working, this new test. We've broadened our base of fitness from a cultural perspective. Now, why not have people like yourself coming up with these brilliant ideas, and why not get behind them, and why not kind of introduce them to as many people as you can? Because, you know, I've mentioned this to the gym owners on the island where I am, and Dan is he was in the military. He loves this idea. We've introduced like ruck race league onto the island, so we've got like a group of 10 of us doing ruck race every month now. We're massively interested in ErgShoot. There's all these ideas that are stemming through that we can train for, either for using CrossFit or with using, you know, the equipment. And having ErgShoot, that's an all year round, you know, available tool to use in your gym. That as a gym owner, if you can invest a bit of money into that, that will breathe new air into the affiliate. People will want to give it a go. People want to test their accuracy.
Yeah, 100%. You know, it's innovative. It will allow your audience, your members, to see that you are forward thinking.
Mm-hmm.
There's not many what's next moments within the fitness space, right? And I look at this as a bit of a what's next. It's definitely captured the imagination of a lot of people. And then, as I say, this spectrum of gamification as well, right? As I said to you, we're at one end of the spectrum right now, right? It's just a game. We're playing a game, but at the other end is your online gamers, your Call of Duty crew. And we're trying to sort of tap into this area. It may take some time. You talk about investment. We're doing a fundraise next month. So if anyone does want to invest into ErgShoot, if you go onto our website, ErgShoot.com, there is actually a page on there, and you can just basically just register your details and we can get in touch. We can talk about that. There's so much. there's so much. There's so much to do. It's exciting, you know, and we know kind of like we know what our pillars are with our business. Which one is the most fruitful right now? You know, we don't know, but we know that they are significant pillars, and you know, we want to build a good community. We want to get the affiliate offering up and running. So yeah, that's our invest page. It's pretty simple. But yeah, just click the button, and then there's a form you can fill in, and then you can just put your details down. A little bit about me, Ali, and Flo as well. Didn't get a chance to put our friend Kyle down there as well, but he would be the fourth addition to that now. So very exciting times.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And this is, like you said, this is one of those times where, and again, we talked about this when we were together at the French. You know, we had the Airdyne, the Schwinn bike was in the gyms fucking 12 to 10 years ago. Then all of a sudden, this fucking shit bike called the Assault bike came around, and it blasted everyone. And everyone thought, nah, this can't get any worse. And then Rogue decided to just absolutely batter people and invent the Echo bike. Now, each one of those moments is a bit of kit that's been introduced and has completely changed the way that CrossFitters train and affiliates train. And it's a basic equipment now in any given CrossFit gym. You need the Echoes, and a lot of them. And every few years, something comes around like that will be worth investing into as an affiliate owner for the next 10 years. You know, it will stick with it.
What would be an amazing thing for ErgShoot is if someone like the CrossFit Games would put a stamp of approval on laser pistol shooting, and then that would just basically take ErgShoot into the stratosphere, right? But it just needs to be, look, we just need to test precision accuracy at the extreme. It doesn't have to appear in every workout that you do, but you know, it's one of these things, and that's the other thing, right? So I like doing a bit of market research. And funny enough, you mentioned Yami in CrossFit Reykjavik. So I communicate with Yami. I've been trying to actually get in front of his athletes to do a training camp. And I think I've had a chat with people that were involved in like the 2019 Rogue Invitational. They had shooting there. I think Annie Doris' daughter was the poster girl for that. I think there's a picture of her with a rifle. It's quite an iconic picture. And also 2022. French Throwdown, they did a laser run on a BMX track. But I wanted to understand like how the coaches felt about it, how the athletes felt about it, because like from a marketing perspective, us looking in, it's like, oh, that looks fun. They look like having a great old time. For me, if we're going to be at a big event, I want the athletes taking part not to have it sprung upon them. They need to have the ability to train for it. Because they go to the event with some confidence, they've trained for it. It doesn't take much, you know. We can do shooting workshops, right? We can travel to do shooting workshops, but then it gives the event organizer confidence that the athletes are trained for it. It's not going to be, oh, this is crap. And also, so much bloody money on the line nowadays. These big comps, you don't want to be, you don't want to be leaderboard, and you get, oh, we're doing this next. It's like, okay. So these guys have shot before and I haven't. That's not fair. Exactly. So there needs to be this kind of familiarization, and we're working on that with some of the events that we're going to be working with, right? Getting guns and targets into hands of the athletes pre-event, and they can take them away with them for next, right? So we have longevity. So it's not one of these things that comes and goes. Yeah. Because I do ErgShoot a lot in my gym. For me, it's not a fad. It's a great way to keep fit. And after you start getting good at shooting, go from the 5, come back to the 10, which would be probably more in the actual sport of ErgShoot, probably, I would say. Right. We have a global community like the sport of biathlon, those types of guys that just want to do it as a sport. That would probably evolve as the elite offering. And we may always keep it 5 for, you know, organized events like, I don't know, your CrossFits and your Waterpaloozas and all those kind of ones, right? All that kind of stuff. So yeah,
that's awesome.
I
can't remember what year it was, but it was either BKG or Koski were podium. It would be.
I think they were involved in the 2019 Rogue. I think they were.
right? And it was the games that year, and one of the American like pistol like gun companies had been sponsoring. It was like someone like Beretta or Colt or someone, and the podium winners got given a fucking actual gun. And whoever it was, I can't remember who it was like, thanks, but I can't take this back to my country. Like, here
Well,
you go, have
they
it back.
wouldn't let you through the airport with it for one, right?
Yeah. But however,
You
having
can take the laser pistols though. You can pack those
yeah,
up.
yeah,
And also
yeah.
the pencil shot ones you can actually take apart. So if they were scanned, they wouldn't look like a gun. So
Although,
I've travelled with them.
also, I've got a very funny. Well, it was funny. It wasn't funny at the time, but it was. Think about the timing of this, right? I'll tell you the year. It was the end. It was the first week of October in 2001, right? And my family went to Greece. I was 16, and I got a BB gun in Greece. And without even fucking thinking about it, I went through the Greek airport with this fucking BB gun in my suitcase. But we were going through the scanners at the airport, like the luggage thing. And my dad said, have you got we're going through, that point, we like, everything packed, everything good, going through now, blah, blah, blah. And I went, oh, I've got that gun in my bag. And armed police were on me like that, like within 10 seconds, guns pointing at me. The Greek fucking military were there. And I got moved with my dad. My mum and my brother went through to the lounge. We were in this fucking goldfish bowl interrogation room, and they were like, because it was 3 weeks. It was 3 weeks after September the 11th, so everyone was fucking on full alert. And there's me with this BB gun, having not even thought about it, and I've said the word gun as we're going through security. And we had to go to the British consulate on the phone, passports were checked. And they were like, they dismantled this gun in front of us. There was ball bearings on the thing, but they would not have it.
Did you catch your flight?
Yeah, because we got there a little bit. We had like 3 hours. But the British, the what they call diplomat, the ambassador, or whatever, the guy the British guy in Greece, had to declare everything was fine, and so I got let on the plane with my dad. But I will never forget that. So when you talk about taking guns on planes, like, that's the story.
You have a very squeaky bum if I told you to take one of these guns with you, right?
Yeah. These pistols. We're all good with the ErgShoot. Yeah, we're all good. So Matt, thank you so much for coming on. It's been an absolute pleasure being able to talk about you and ErgShoot and what's the plans for coming forward. I really look forward to kind of having you back on again in maybe September, October time when you've done your event, and we can have a reflection on it and see how far we've come. But it was a pleasure meeting you at the French, and also pleasure talking now. And wish you all the best with it. Is there anything you kind of want me to direct towards you guys? So we've got the investment page. I'll try and get people to do that with.
Right now, we've built this up. It's been a very bootstrap thing. We're at a point now where we're in a very hot position, I would say. We've got some really big events coming up, massive exposure. So we are after some investment. Again, we can just talk about that on a one-to-one. People are interested. Sponsors as well, people that want to get involved, like what we're doing. Again, we're looking for that. That now is the time to jump on board. But yeah, look, we're having fun. We feel like we're doing something which is basically improving the landscape of the fitness and sports industry at the moment, right? So yeah, it's an exciting project for me and Ali and Flo and Kyle. And yeah, we don't know where it's going, but we know it's going. Potentially could be pretty big, right, on many facets. So yeah. But listen, thanks for the time, and again, being on your platform. I think did I follow Greg? Was Greg your last one? Greg, your last interview?
Yeah. Greg was the last person I spoke to. Yeah. Wow. So yeah, Greg.
Well, that was a bucket list for you, tick, right?
Oh man, like I talked about it the other day to my mate, and I was just like, it was like Daniel introduced him on Friday. When he said Santa Claus is coming tomorrow.
Yeah.
He fucking nailed that. It is like Santa Claus is coming. It's like, oh my God. And then, so the Saturday morning, obviously I found out Greg was there. I was like, oh my God, I'm going to be able to have a picture taken with Greg. Like, this is amazing. This is, unheard of. And then at 9:45 in the morning, Daniel and his team go, oh, Jake, we got you sit down half an hour with Greg. And I was like,
amazing.
fuck. And then he went, in half an hour. And I'm like, oh. Like, so I just disappeared to a corner, sat down, trying to control my breathing, thinking about what do I, and I've, for the last 13 years, I've dreamt of meeting Greg and like talking to him. And I listen to him on Savon's show once a week. And like, fine.
I had the pleasure. I think when you were doing that, I had the pleasure of looking after his kids. They came down to our offering downstairs. So his kids were very, very good at shooting with the laser pistols. They actually took part in our gauntlet event.
Amazing.
2 of his eldest. So so I think when you were doing that, mate, I was looking after your children. So there you go.
And what a badass Maggie is, eh?
Yeah, absolutely.
He's awesome.
Absolutely.
But yeah, no, it's fucking honor, to talk to Greg. And within 5 minutes, all barriers and nerves had gone, and he's just really easy to talk to and humble. And I followed him around. If I'm being honest, I followed him around for 6 hours with my camera on my new stabilizer thing that I bought. It was really fancy. And just videoed. I hardly videoed any of the athletes. I didn't get really much of the athletes for those 6 hours. All it was Greg talking to people, helping people. I keep talking about this. I'm going to put a video out of him, all the best bits of Greg behind the scenes. But there's this bit where he just walks over to this struggling dad who was trying to feed his kid baby milk from a bottle. And Greg just walks over and helps him just for the sake of it. He wasn't, that no one saw it except me. I was hiding back with the camera. He didn't know I was doing it. There's just these moments where Greg was just talking to people for the love of community and for people being in that environment and buzz. He didn't really care too much for the athletes on the thing. They're just a serendipitous effect. They're a happy secondary outcome for what he created for him.
Just being a good human being, mate. Be kind, be humble, be gracious. Just be nice. Be nice. Nice propagates nice, mate. So that's the way I live my life, mate.
Absolutely. Good. All right, Matt. Well, on that note,
bombshell.
Without sounding like Clarkson. Yeah. All right. Cheers for coming on, Matt, and I'll pick up with you a bit later today.
Thank you. All the best. Take care.
Cheers, Matt. Have a good one. What a bloody nice bloke. So, before I go off to coach, before I do that, if you are watching this later in the day, where are we? Pop over to that's Carl's work. ErgShoot. So have a visit to ErgShoot's Instagram page. Give it a follow. Give it a like. Share some stuff. Awesome company. Small at the moment. You've got the guys running it, Matt, Flo, and Ollie. But make sure that you give them a follow and have a look at the video. Have a look at how the system works. Have a look at how you think it could fit in with your gym, because the beauty of this, it links up with obviously the ergs. You can program around that. There's a big future for this bit of kit, big future. And I think if you can get your athletes and your members on board, this could be a really decent tool for all gyms to have. So watch this space in terms of ErgShoot. Keep an eye on that. And if anyone is interested, obviously visit their investment page like we talked about. So before I shoot off to coach, I just wanted to showcase a couple of people that I was with over the weekend, really, if you don't mind. So one of my hats is a weightlifting coach. So I look after weightlifting on the Isle of Man. I've set it up the last couple of years. It previously wasn't an official sport, so we had a lot of people doing it on the island. We've had a lot of success in the past at on the British level, at the British scene. But this weekend, we've had 3 of the athletes that we've been coaching the last few years in the CrossFit gym. So they've had a really good base with CrossFit. A few of them, Harry is a young whippersnapper who is currently on the British weightlifting pathway. So he's working with British weightlifting, which is great. He trains on the island, goes over to Loughborough Centre of Excellence once every 2 months, I think. So I wanted to just show you a couple of videos and highlight them because I want to celebrate part of what we talked about the last few weeks is celebrating all levels of competition. So not just the elite, but also people putting it out there. Yeah, average Joes like myself, having the balls to go and compete in something they've never done before, regularly learn and play new sports, and putting themselves out there on the line a little bit. And I think that should be encouraged and showcased. So because of that, these three are all CrossFitters. So I'm going to bring up Cara first. Now, Cara is she's a 46-year-old female. She was in what weight category is she in? She weighed in at 57 kilos. So this is her final clean and jerk. So again, first ever weightlifting comp, first time on the platform. Last lift. White lights, awesome. And if anyone out there in the world of Boostland or Savon's network, if you're out there and you love a part of CrossFit of weightlifting and you're looking to actively try new sports, I know that you probably do clean and jerk and snatch in your gyms, but I try and encourage you to kind of have a think about how you can test your fitness rather than inside the four walls at your gym. Have a look at, if you're in the US, obviously, have a look at USA weightlifting. If you're in Europe, have a look at your regional weightlifting association. So your NGB, national governing body. Have a look at the competitions you can go to. The way that it'll work, you've got different tiering systems. You've got tier 3, tier 2, tier 1. We're probably going to be looking at a tier 3 for the likes of us. Tier 3 is your entry level, but you do have the movement standards there to have to adhere to. Now, this next one is beautiful because Cara, who I just showed you, her son Harry is the lad that I was on about. Now, you'll see Cara when I share the screen. Now, she's here. Really nervous because Harry is her son and he's just coming to do his final lift for the day, the clean and jerk. So she's a little bit nervous now. Now, Harry's done this a few times before. It's not his first weightlifting comp. Ignore the screechy noise. I fast forwarded it. And Harry's a lighter lifter, so he weighed in at 57 kilos. In the 60 category because at sub-juniors you have 60. Watch the knees. Valgus knee is very, very common in weightlifting. His mum's happy now. She loves that picture. And then we have got Janet, the Janimal. So Janet is 56. Janet currently, unofficially, but at competition. So you have to declare with powerlifting, you have to declare whether or not you're going for a world record. You can hit the weight, it can stand, but it won't go down officially as a world record if you haven't declared it. Now, we didn't declare it at a competition. She currently holds the world record in her weight and age class for powerlifting, so squat, bench, and dead. Recently, she wanted to give weightlifting a go. So she came across with us and she started competing and she did her first meet in Liverpool as well. And obviously being at the back coaching, this was the video I managed to get. Family and friends all in there. So this is 80 kilos. So at the age of 56, she's hitting an 80 kilo clean and jerk. And look how easy this is. Just power cleans it. So not only powerlifting world records under her belt, but yeah, she's also smashing weightlifting now. So I just wanted to talk about the guys that came across from Isle of Man weightlifting to Liverpool over the weekend. So well done to them. I am on You got an exclusive for watching this. I am on Sunday with none other than his royal baldness, Taylor Self. So Taylor's coming on the show on Sunday. We will be on a little bit later than normal because of the time difference, but Taylor, we're going to be on roughly just before Savon's show. So we'll be on about 2 o'clock GMT, whichever timescale, use that back. But it'll be in the morning EST over there. So thank you for joining me today. Thanks for watching. And thanks again to Matt for coming on from ErgShoot. What a time to be in the fitness industry. Go and give them a like and a view. And if you're a gym owner, I encourage you to get on board earlier. Get yourself a couple of pistol packs and get them in your gym. But thanks for joining me, guys. And I look forward to seeing you all on Sunday. Bye for now.